Everyone thinks this footage exposes Diddy. It doesn't. It shows how rich people plan ahead, and what happens when that plan breaks. And it only becomes dangerous when the person who filmed it loses control of the story. This footage only works because of when it was released. People keep asking what the footage shows. The real question is how it showed up at all. This wasn't a leak, and that should make you nervous. Leaks usually embarrass power. This didn't. Sean Combs knew the camera was there. He hired the videographer himself. Netflix and director Alexandria Stapleton have publicly stated that the footage was obtained legally, and that's exactly why this footage matters. This isn't messy leaked footage, it's polished. And polished footage doesn't accidentally end up inside a scandal. The videographer, Michael Oberlies, says he didn't release it. He says the footage changed hands while a freelancer temporarily covered for him. No dramatic betrayal, no payment dispute. Just a quiet transfer that somehow turned deeply private moments into a global documentary. Power doesn't always lose control by accident. Sometimes it opens the door, believing it will always decide what gets out. Once you realize this wasn't an accident, the next question becomes uncomfortable. Why was all of this being filmed in the first place? The camera wasn't watching him, he was using it. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Sean Combs isn't new to cameras. Reality television, behind-the-scenes access, constant documentation. This has been part of his world for decades. Alexandria Stapleton put it plainly, he's always filming himself. Once you accept that, the footage stops feeling spontaneous. It stops feeling casual and starts feeling planned. Watch how he speaks on the phone with lawyers. He doesn't sound panicked, he sounds measured. Like someone choosing words carefully. Even under pressure, he's thinking about how things sound and how they'll land. 50 Cent admitted he was surprised Combs filmed this, not because it was emotional, but because it was controlled. They record themselves so their version already exists. If accusations come later, people already have something to point to. Recording here isn't fear, it's confidence that the future would cooperate. It puts his version on record first. That's why the camera wasn't watching him, he was using it. And here's where people expect the story to turn dark and chaotic. It doesn't, that's what makes it strange. There's nothing explosive in the footage, and that's the red flag. This is where you expect fireworks, and the footage refuses to give you any. No breakdown. No moment you can clip and say, there, that's the real him. Instead, the footage gives you routine. A man riding a bike through New York, greeting fans in Harlem, taking photos, smiling. Then the camera follows him back into private space, and the tone shifts. Comments about sanitizing, about needing to clean up after interactions. Moments the documentary doesn't explain. It only shows public warmth, private distance. If this footage had stayed private, none of this would mean anything. Same tape, new meaning. The only thing that changed was when we saw it. Timing turned this into something else entirely. This footage wasn't filmed years earlier. It was shot days before the arrest. While federal investigations were active, while properties had been raided, while lawsuits were landing in real time, including new allegations surfacing as the camera rolled. There's a moment where Combs learns about another lawsuit while being filmed. Not through headlines, not in hindsight, but live. And as viewers, we're watching with knowledge he didn't have yet, knowing exactly what comes next. The audience now holds the advantage. We know what's coming. He doesn't. Nothing changes on camera. Everything changes for us. Same footage, completely different meaning. That's the power of timing. And that timing advantage creates another quiet decision, one most viewers don't notice. The documentary almost never tells you what to think. The documentary never says guilty. It doesn't have to. One of the most deliberate choices in this documentary is what it refuses to do. No one comes out and says guilty. They don't need to. They just roll the tape and let you do the math. They leave the pauses in. They leave the awkward parts in. They don't rescue him in the edit. That's the trick. They don't accuse him. They just leave you alone with the tape. This footage wasn't made for us. This is the core of it. This footage was never meant for public scrutiny. Combs' team has been clear about that. They've called it private, pre-indictment, never intended for public viewing. Put together, it doesn't feel like random documentation. It feels deliberate, built to hold up, built to last. It plays less like content made for an audience and more like footage meant to survive scrutiny, lawyers, timelines, and second looks. A safety net, not a confession. And that's the key, edits, because this is the first time we're re-seeing footage of Sean Combs, where he is T-shaping the final cut. He recorded it, but he didn't author its release. Losing control of footage isn't the same as losing privacy. It's losing control of the story. One lets you watch, the other lets you decide. That's why this footage wasn't made for us. It doesn't try to teach, shock, or persuade. It just exists, holding a version of events that was never supposed to be debated publicly. But the future arrived without permission. The footage doesn't care what it was meant to be anymore. The story turned against its maker. And that's what makes this moment so rare and so dangerous. Control didn't disappear. It was transferred. And for the first time, we get to watch the consequences unfold. And once you see it that way, the story stops being about scandal altogether. The question isn't guilt, it's intention. Because if this can surface without permission, it means the rules didn't change. The clock did. Drop your thoughts below, like and subscribe. More is coming.